Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to America's Teacher for, what's today, Tuesday, 12/11/2019. I'm not sure if those dates are important because I'm just putting these up on my website, but we'll see. Anyway, video 11 to continue on with the he has it. So, and then he has a few fours. So last time, for imposing taxes on us without our consent. For depriving in us many cases of the benefits of trial by jury. Okay, what's the whole point of a trial by jury? Well, when you have a dictatorship, they have these fake judges, and they put you up there. Gotta grab my coffee. They put you up there in front of the judge, and the judge goes, and here's your defense, and they stage essentially what's a phony trial, and they're making it out like they're really giving you a great deal, and they're hearing you out, but as soon as you're done, they just go ahead and do whatever they want, and whatever they want is send you to the dungeon, because the dictator doesn't arrest you unless he wants to send you to the dungeon. So everything is what we call a show trial, which I don't know if our people get anymore because we take our freedoms so for granted. But a show trial is they can say in the media, because there's three ways in modern times that you control people. What are they? Do you know what they are? How does a dictator like Stalin or Hitler or any of them, Chavez, how do any of them control? They rewrite the textbooks so they control the educational system. If that doesn't work, they pound you every night on their nightly news, which, of course, there's no diversity or differentiation. The press is not free, and it's not independent and private, but it's owned by the government. So the government tells, which the dictator tells the media what they're going to say. And they better say it right or else, right? That's number two. What's number three? They use the secret police so they knock off and arrest people who disagree with them. That's why so many people are up in arms about this Comey thing, because did he investigate and spy on Trump during his election? That's a big no-no in a free society, okay? That FISA warrant, they had to have a warrant. Anyway, I digress. They had to have a warrant from a judge, and it had to be a very particular reason. And when they couldn't prove that they had evidence, they were supposed to cease, and they just kept wiretapping and stuff. So, yeah, that's why they had to go, see, and set up a whole fake thing about Ukraine and Russia to get the attention off of them, because they know that if they get in trouble, they're all going to jail. So the jails could be full of a lot of these Obama appointees. Anyway, for transporting us beyond seas to be tried for pretended offenses. Okay, we'll take you out of the colonies, we'll ship you back to Europe or over to Canada or Greenland or Scotland or wherever to have a phony trial. So taking us, the big thing about trial by your peers is that it's done by your peers in the district in which you belong or live in. For abolishing the free system of English laws in the neighboring province, establishing therein an arbitrary government, and enlarging its boundaries so as to render it at once an example and fit instrument for introducing the same absolute rule into these colonies. Abolish the government in Canada, a neighboring province, establish therein an arbitrary government, just set up a puppet governor, and enlarging its boundaries, then turn around and say the boundaries of Canada now come down into 3 or 4 of the colonies that they want to rule, and read it once an example of a fit instrument. And then when the people whine and complain, they go, oh, you got a government, you have a government, it's your step in Canada now. Make sense? For taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, and altering fundamentally the forms of our government. Mess with our constitutions and charters, change them fundamentally to make oh, instead of having it set up this way, we'll change the setup that way, and we'll make parts of it purposefully weak. That's kind of happening to us in California right now because, like, our counties, cities, school districts are becoming less and less powerful because after Prop 13, I know I'm going to get in trouble as a somewhat conservative, right? I'm supposed to stay neutral, but I'll admit there's some bias there. Well, by the way, all teachers have a bias, right? None of us are perfect, so we all have flaws and we all have things in our upbringing and our past and everything that make us more. But anyway, that would be like, okay, so we got rid of Prop 13, which I got a little bit of a problem with because we took away the power to tax locally and give the money to local governments so they could control. So in other words, if we did property tax, then that tax came right back to the county originally, and then they used it in the schools, so we had more of a say-so. Now we've done, no property tax, so now we have a sales tax, now we send all the, well, we had one then too, but we're more dependent on the sales tax, so all the money goes into the state, and then all the counties and cities are begging, send us money, send us money. Well, they don't get it. That's why I-5's getting fixed right now, I think, and the county roads and city roads aren't getting fixed. How do I know? Talked to one of the city council members in my old church in Lincoln, and he said, we tried to pass a special bond so that not only did the tax money taken out in our sales tax when we buy a gallon of gas, and we're not getting that back, and the state's using it on the major thoroughfares, but the counties are dried up, their funding's dried up, they have to beg for money, grant and aids or loans from the state. And the state, the further a government is away from you, the founder said, the less it cares about you. You got rid of our charters, you abolished our best laws for suspending our legislatures and declaring themselves invested with the power to legislate for us in all cases. The whole idea of the English Bill of Rights and the Magna Carta was, hey, we want to say so in our own laws from now on. And it started with the lords. It didn't start with the public. But over centuries, the rights got extended down to even the peasants, right? The little guy. All this comes out of the Middle Ages. Who had the rights in the Middle Ages? The church and the lords. And 98% of the people were serfs. That's what feudalism were. They lived on a farm. They weren't slaves, but they were close. They got half of whatever they grew, and half went to the Lord. And the average person never meandered. What's the right word? Traveled. Sorry. Weak words. Never extended their journey past. That was really a weak attempt. Sorry. 10 miles. So the average person never went 10 miles from their home. They just stayed on the Lord's land. They ate. They survived. They weren't slaves, like I said, legally by law. They couldn't make them do certain things, but they were starving to death, so essentially they had to do whatever kept the Lord happy. Okay, thank you. That's America's teacher, Casey Nolan, for today. 12/11/2019. I thank you for listening. I try and get going on these videos. I want to finish up Declaration in the next 2-3 more videos, so it looks like it's going to be about 14 or 15 videos on the Declaration, and you may be thinking, why did he do that? Can he use it on the presidency or Congress? Well, the reason that I did it was I think this document is so essential, and you see when I break it down that all the principles are there. So we don't really have to guess what the founders believe. And another reason we don't have to guess is because of this little doohickey right here. It's called the Federalist Papers. It's a series of articles written by Alexander Hamilton, James Madison, and John Jay. He's the first Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, and they defend why they won this new Constitution, because don't forget, we're on our second Constitution. The first one was called the Articles of Confederation, and it made the national government a little bit too weak, and the founders saw, especially Hamilton, and he's like, we can't even have a national bank, we can't tax to have a military. So he's probably the person most responsible for saying we need to rethink this and rewrite a new constitution. But I'll do that next. after I walk through the Declaration. Thank you. Have a great evening and appreciate you listening. Don't forget to give your comments. None of you guys are leaving comments, and it kind of hurts me as far as knowing what's great, knows what ticks you off, know if this is helping you, what kind of resources you need more or less of. And if you need diagrams and stuff, go over to my videos on Congress. Thank you. Have a great evening.